Good evening. And welcome back to the Poetry of Justice Show with JackieRay Phillips here on YaksRadio.com. And you know, this is where we select topics that spark the interest and awareness of social diversity, ranging from arts, entertainment, and social justice at large. So, welcome back, and I have a panel of amazing people in the audience tonight. Miss Shelley C., how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Lori G., you back?
I am back.
Girl, ooh, you ready?
I am ready. I heard rumors of an instruction.
What?
That's what I
Wow.
Oh my God.
I am ready.
Yikes.
Christian,
Yeah,
come on up. You ready?
I'm ready.
What was the break like for you? I mean, did you get your mind right?
You know, I think I
Little
drifted a little
razzle-dazzle.
further out in the sea, you know, just enjoying the waves and the crashing of the ocean, you know, it's a beautiful sound, it's a beautiful space. Beautiful ladies, right?
And then, of course, relationship expert guru, Noreen McClendon. How you doing?
I'm great.
What was your, where you at right now?
I am laughing at him. He is in hog heaven right now. He's like a pig in slop. It's just great right now. And I'm enjoying him enjoying himself.
And, of course, the amazing Miss Lisa Holloway.
Thank you.
How you doing? You having a good time?
I'm having a good time, and I have a funny story I want to tell.
Amen. Go on.
And I want all of us to tell a funny story. I'm going to tell a pussy chronicle. You know, every woman has that person that just ain't no good. You don't need to talk to them, don't need to be around them, but you want to be around them. I had that. You know, that kind of chocolate, that dark chocolate with you think it's creamy in the middle, but when you bite it, all your teeth fall out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had some of that. Yeah, I had some of that, and it was wonderful.
Okay.
It was wonderful.
For the time then.
Could you,
I-
I'm dead ass, could you please repeat?
Okay, you know, that deep dark chocolate.
Deep dark chocolate.
And then you think when you bite into it, it's gonna be creamy in the middle, but you bite into it and all your teeth fall out. All of them right there, all of them.
Lord have mercy.
All of them.
Just toxic.
No, not toxic, fun.
Oh,
Just simply fun.
Okay.
No, simply fun, not toxic.
Okay.
You don't have no business.
You know, like that's the one that's gonna fuck your whole life up that you don't even know that there's a big train wreck ahead.
Yeah, there
Right,
you
Dick
go.
is so
That one,
right on
that
point. You're
one.
like this mother.
That one.
That's the one
That
that
one.
know how to
That I
get
read
in.
about. I
That
read
one. You
about
heard about
it.
that. That's-
I read about
you
all
read
that.
about
Yeah,
that.
please.
Shelley,
Yeah,
The
we
one
read
that
it.
takes you and you stand at attention.
Yeah.
One
that's
that
the
you just
one.
see down the road, you like,
That one.
pheromones just go.
That.
Not the
That-
pheromones.
Yeah, that one. Oh, that one.
Tanya Michelle,
Yeah.
are you
Okay.
listening? Call us about
That one.
310-910-9676 extension. Tell us more about this person, please. I'm gonna be quiet.
Well, they're fun. They're really, really fun. You know what I'm saying? But when you meet people, I felt like after I got married, I met somebody that I was just sexually attracted to. I had never did that. I had realized I was always part of a team. In high school, I was somebody's girlfriend. In college, I was somebody's girlfriend. And I went from somebody's girlfriend to somebody's wife. So I never had that time to do the threesome and be wild and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, at this age, I really appreciate running into somebody where it's just a physical thing. Because I always attached like an emotion with it. Like, oh, this is my man. You know, I know football very well because I knew that if I wanted to be in the presence of men, I better know some shit about some sports.
Right, right.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
And
So,
yeah.
so at a young age, I was that way, and I realized, you know, after getting out of a 25-year relationship with my ex, that you need time to yourself and grow and experience yourself. And I didn't even know what I liked. Like you said, until you try
Right.
stuff, it was shit I hadn't tried. And I said, I like that shit.
Okay, right? Hello.
So,
Yeah.
you know, that I'm really touching on what you said. That is very true. How do you know what you like if you have never tried it?
Right.
Yeah.
Which goes back to what Aaliyah was saying before the break, which is, do you ask, you know, for what you want?
Yes.
You have to, but what's most important is that you know what you want. You got to know you first.
Right.
But then you
Yes.
have to have experienced some things to even identify what it is that you like. You don't know. I can honestly say, you know, I thought there was a guy I thought was the best sex ever.
Uh-huh.
I did not want to give the relationship up because I thought that was the best sex.
Yes.
And the best sex I ever had happened after him.
Right.
Well, see,
That's what I'm saying. That happened.
Till you
That
get to
happened
the
to me.
next one.
Till you get
You
to
always
one.
think you
Yes.
got the top one, and
Yes.
then that, yeah.
Yes, and I put up with a lot of stuff in that one. I thought I wasn't gonna never get it no better,
You thought you wasn't gonna get over
but
it.
because I thought his had a gold tip on it. And
Right.
I thought this was the mountaintop. I had reached it, and the reality is that it got better after that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think I know part of it was the acceptance that the person after gave me. There was a freedom that I had with him that I didn't have with the person that I thought I really was getting the best sex from. I felt constrained and didn't even know it.
Yes.
I felt obligated to do things a certain way because that's the way he wanted it done,
Yep.
as opposed to just being free just to be me.
Yep.
And that's when the best sex ever actually happened.
Yes. When you meet that person that lets you be you.
Right.
Lets you be
Right.
free.
Yes, with no judgment,
No
no judgment.
judgment.
They're not
No
gonna get up and
judgment.
go, "Damn, you nasty,"
Yes.
and I don't want to be bothered with you no more. He might say, what he might say is, "Damn, bitch, you nasty," but I like that.
And I'm
I like
coming
that.
back.
I like that. I like that about you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We have a caller here on the air. Hello. Freaky Frida!
Hey,
Miss
Frida.
you, mamas.
Frida. And we forgot the baby in the room.
I know. Go here, mama.
Noreen. I know.
Lisa.
Lisa.
Hey. Yes.
She won it. Mm-hmm.
I did, girl. That bad chocolate gave it to me.
She
I
don't
can
have no
identify.
teeth now, though, Frida.
Shut up.
She don't have no teeth now, though, Frida.
And I'm okay
I
with
miss
being
you,
snaggled
Frida.
too.
I miss you, Frida. I wish you were here.
You can relate, Shelley?
I can relate. I can relate to Lisa's story very much so. My story is a lot like hers.
Let's hear
Now I
it.
didn't have nobody from the Playboy Mansion or nothing like that. But I can relate being very young. You're someone's girlfriend in high school, then you're
Yes.
someone's girlfriend in college. You've never been single, then you get married at 20,
Yes.
and then you have
Have
kids, you
kids.
do all of that, and you stay married for like 15 years, and then it's not until after that
Yes.
that you really discover you.
Yes.
What you want, what you
want.
like, what to ask for.
Yes.
So
Exactly.
Chances are-
You ain't never
Chances
lied.
are probably
Exactly.
not.
Exactly. You don't realize it. You don't.
That is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Amen. Amen. So
What are you thinking, Christian?
I got a question. So I found for me that when I was younger, I liked older women because they usually had a child, and I felt that increased their sexual awareness or their body changed in some way because of that experience. Do you find that that's true for you as women? That the sex changes after you've had a child and that you become more physically aware, or you're, actually looking for your own gratification in that? Because I find that usually younger women aren't looking for their own gratification, they're looking for acceptance, is where after a child, women are like chasing the nut, and that's exciting, right? For me. So but that's something that usually comes after the physical maturity of having a child. Is that something that you experience?
For me, I didn't pay any attention to it one way or the other. I will say, though, with age, I definitely became more conscious of getting mine and knowing how to maneuver and direct traffic to make sure I got mine.
Yeah.
Definitely, the older maturity, because I began to learn my body.
Mm-hmm.
I knew something about me. Which, as a 17-year-old, I didn't know nothing about me. You know what I mean? I didn't know nothing about me. So, and what I actually liked, or heck, even the anatomy of, where things was going to go well. I had no clue. You know what I mean? I had no idea. You know, I certainly couldn't say I knew my favorite position. I didn't know anything. So I would definitely say that maturity definitely kicks in. I don't know necessarily for me if it was tied to having my son or not. I'm not sure.
What about this, Deacon?
I don't know if having the kids had any bearing on it. I think no. I just think, like she said, maturity and time.
Just more time. So I attributed it to that, but it was more of an age thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Makes sense.
Okay, Lisa. What's the next level of those chronicles, darling?
Yeah, well, the next level of the chronicles, you know, and like I said, I am gonna say something about having babies and stuff, because your body does change when you have children. And, you know, you might get fuller, you get a little more sexier and stuff, but children can be a buzzkill to the sex.
Oh my God, they just kill everything.
Yes, because I'm not gonna lie, they had sex with my kids in the bed while they sleep. I ain't gonna lie.
When else you gonna get it in?
When you gonna get it in?
When else you gonna get it in?
Move him over, make sure he's sleeping, let's go do it. Yes, every mama knows that. And that's what the Pussy Chronicles is about too, is that kind of stuff.
The
to be
truth.
on top-
Being able to tell the truth.
Being able to tell the
Seriously.
truth. Keep
And
it
don't
real.
feel embarrassed that
Yes.
you had to do that.
Because we've all had to do it.
Shannon, can you relate?
I can relate, but she was very, very small. Like
Oh,
small.
yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Not where they
You're
would wake
not-
up and say, "Oh, what's
Oh,
going
no,
on?"
no.
They were like maybe 2.
You're not having your 5-year-old.
Months, yeah, a few months to a couple years. Oh, yeah,
When
absolutely.
you know they sleep.
Right.
And you know they sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
This ain't no, yeah.
Kirsten, you hear this?
Yeah.
You hear this? What's going on?
Yes, I do.
Sometimes you gotta do it. You gotta fit it in where you can.
Right.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Okay.
can I chime in from the other perspective on the maturity thing?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think also, the more mature one becomes absolutely discovering their sexuality and stuff, but I think that also goes for men too. Because, you know, in my youth, I was all about me and getting off, and that's all I was worried about. You know, the other person was not a concern. As I got older, I realized.
Sure.
Yeah. It's just me. I'm not speaking for everyone. But as I got a little older, I realized the importance of it being a mutual thing in a relationship, and that's a real game changer right there too. It really is.
Well, you know what,
Major League Doctor.
because what happens is you wind up getting, it's better for you
Oh yeah.
when we enjoy ourselves.
Right.
Like the guy I had that I thought was the be all end all of everything. One day we had a conversation and he gonna tell me, this is one of the funny stories.
Pussy Chronicles.
Pussy Chronicle.
Okay.
So he decides that we're gonna have this conversation about sex, and he tells me, you know, the sex is good, but sometimes you be giving me them half-ass fucks, you know, like you just ain't into it. And I said, that's what he said. And I said, well, if you roll over in the morning and think you just running up in it, then you gonna get a half-ass fuck. Now, what you might consider is a little foreplay.
Hello.
Just
Yeah.
might consider a little foreplay.
Or
Fast forward
Or
a few months later, we go on a vacation, and he takes me up on it. And why did the MF say to me, you know, you was right about that foreplay. Duh. G George is only my body. I'm trying to tell you how to get the best out of me.
Damn, right.
If you want what you want, the best thing for you to do is give me what I want and what I need, so that it becomes reciprocal and it becomes a balance, and everybody's getting what they need. But so you benefit when I'm benefiting.
Yeah.
Because the vagina's happy.
Because she's happy.
Exactly.
When she's happy, then you can be.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying, Michelle. When she's happy, everybody happy. When she's happy, everybody happy. Everybody get happy when she get happy. The whole household happy.
Yes.
Yikes, radio. But on some real deal Holyfield, guys, you know I did our ad blast today. I mean, this is just for real. I mean, I don't want to be a buzzkill, but I just want to be a for real deal Holyfield because it's Pussy Chronicles, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Terrell Hammond, hi Mr. Hammond, if you're out there right now watching, stated when we did the ad today about the power of the pussy. The power of it, right? He responded and said, you know what, sis? I was just thinking about this. He says, I was watching the Surviving R. Kelly series on Netflix, and I wonder, this man is going to spend the rest of his life in prison because of some cat, is when he said it. You know, the ad I cat did.
Yes,
The
that's why the cat in it. Yeah.
Mhm.
The power of pussy. And I know it's a little taboo talking about the kills, but I cannot not talk about the kills and talk about pussy on the same show. I think in this times, and this is just what it is, right? We talk about the Pussy Chronicles, just putting it out there. Yes, Miss Lisa Holloway, when you hear that, Pussy Chronicles, R. Kelly, where he is right now, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think he, looking at him as a man, I mean, that goes back to what Christian was saying, is about the trauma. You know, I watched that, he was molested, and he was stifled. So I feel like that's why he liked the little young girls, because when you like young girls, that's not about sex, it's about power.
Right.
It's about power, because he couldn't deal with a woman that was on his level. I mean, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, dealing with young women, you know, and then there's a certain, like I said, men are natural predators. They can smell out a young woman that needs somebody like him. You know what I'm saying? He did what he did to specific women, you know, specifically young girls, because they all had little situations going on. And I think he's like a bad predator, because he could smell the hurt on people, and he took advantage of that. You know, so it's not like a good, and he is going to jail for the pussy.
And hurt people.
Yes.
Hurt people, and again, the difference being, he did not have a healthy relationship with sex.
No.
His sexual appetites were not healthy. And so, because it came from an unhealthy place due to trauma, and I did not watch the series. It is, I can't watch those things.
Yes.
Having had the experiences that I've had in my life, I just can't even engage in it. I can't intake it. But I will tell you from the things that I've heard that his sexual, his relationship to sex and what that meant to him was very unhealthy.
Yeah.
It was very unhealthy. And then the other thing is, I want to say on the other side of that, where were the parents of the young women when they were underage? You know, I can honestly say, I thought I was grown, and my mama did a good job with me, but I can say I did do some things and snuck out that house sometimes and went somewhere I told her I was going somewhere else. But at the same time, where were the parents? You know, when I hear a dad say, well, you know, yeah, I was in the audience, and you know, and he wanted my daughter up on stage, and I made sure you were looking for your daughter to be recognized because you thought you could get something from him, and you already knew he already had a history of being a predator and a pedophile.
Yes.
So you knew this, and you still wanted him in this man's presence. My son has been a professional in the entertainment industry since he was 10 years old. That's 25 years. And I know that if you allow people, they will use your children for what they want and toss them aside.
Yes, they
So
will.
there's no scenario where I know that this person is a predator, is a pedophile, and that I'm going to put my child, even for 5 minutes, in the space of this person alone, thinking that they can help them. We just have to make it a different way.
Right.
That was my thing. I was always the one. It's an art to being able to be close enough to the action and still be invisible.
Yes.
Because I had to be close enough that if somebody got out of line, I could snatch them, and I could also snatch him out of a situation. So the rule on the set with him was, when you're not working, you're in your dressing room.
That's
Yes.
right.
Because entertainment industry sets are adult places. They're not for children.
No.
Even on children's shows,
They're not.
the cast and the crew working 12-hour days minimum usually, right? They're adults. Okay, children don't need to be around that kind of conversation, and so that was a rule with him. So I'm saying, I wonder what the parents were doing. I wonder what they instilled in their children to make them feel that they had to engage, which is again identifying those unhealthy elements, those things that cause us to participate in unhealthy situations like that situation. Why is it that those women never felt that they could get away from him? What was it? What was the hold that he had? How did he get that? that hold that he had on them started in childhood. It did not start with R. Kelly.
Right.
And I feel like, you know, having, you know, survived molestation and rape at various times in my life, I feel like him doing those things, he deserved to go to prison.
Yes.
I'm not mad. I'm not
No,
mad
he
at all
deserves to
about
be
him
there.
going to prison, but I think that some people need to be in the cell next to him.
Yes. Oh, yes. Most
Absolutely.
definitely.
Your
Most
take?
definitely.
I definitely agree with Noreen on those topics. And you say where I did watch the miniseries, and I think we discussed this, right, Shelley? See on the show, on a previous
Mhm,
show,
we did.
which it looked at our willingness to sell our children,
Yes.
right?
Mm.
Because the parents, in most instances, they were there.
Mm-hmm.
They were right there, but they had instilled in their child that you will be the savior of our inner city
Oh,
life,
gosh.
right? So if you are able to navigate this terrain and get a record deal, then we all get a record deal, and we all move out of the south side of Chicago, and we all do this and we all do that. So I applaud you for being that protector of your son, right? But I think these parents, in a weird kind of way,
Yeah.
thought what they were doing
Okay.
was okay for their family.
Wow.
And what in my mind I equate it to what we hear about the children in India and other third world countries where there's no food.
Yes.
And so they give their 10-year-old, their
Yes.
8-year-old for $1,000 because that person has dignity in the fact that they all can eat, even though I'm going to be human trafficked.
Yes.
You know?
Mhm.
So I agree with you. I don't think the stuff going on with the cows is about sex.
Yes,
As you
no,
said,
that's
Lisa,
right.
it's about power.
Mhm.
It's
'Cause-
about dominion,
Yeah.
right?
Because he lost his power in the act that he was molested. He lost his power. And I also feel that, like, not just with R. Kelly, we deal with this in our families. I have so many close people to me that have been molested and assaulted by people in their family, and it's overlooked. And you're like, oh, that's okay, Uncle, he ain't gonna do that again. You know, protect our children. You know, and it's like a selling of our kids.
It
You know
is,
what I'm
and
saying?
I think, you know, when I was young, I had a teacher who,
This is a chronicle.
yeah, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
I had a teacher who really took an interest in me.
Yeah.
And I come from a family of educators, which we've talked about a lot on the show. And he came and met my family, and, you know, he garnered their confidence. And I was an eager learner. I loved to learn in school. It was important to me to be a good student, right? And he took me to his home, and he didn't have sex with me, but he molested me.
Mhm.
And so I'm 12 years old, but I knew if I told my father that he was going to kill this person,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so then it became a secret
Mhm.
that I had to keep and I had to hold,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
And then it went on to where I would try to avoid him, right? And he would continue to get around me or be with me. And it wasn't until we went to a sleepaway camp, and I had a little boy that I was interested in, and he was interested in me. And the teacher came to my cabin, right? And I finally told that little boy that I liked
Mhm.
about that incident,
Mhm.
right? And then after that, he knew another person knew, and he stopped.
Mhm.
So I think for these children, there's a part of that too that feels like, if I share, what will happen to
Yes.
the people that I truly
Love.
love, the people that I truly care about? You know, it took me to be old to realize, like, oh, you know, my father wouldn't have went away from us forever, you know, or to process that through. So I think, as you say, Lisa,
the Oklahoma branch come
Right.
and, you know, so I think as you say, Lisa, the predators can smell
Yes.
that. You know, it was very calculating what he did, and he's dead now. And I can't believe that he had the gall, once my sister hit middle school, to try the same paradigm
Of course he
with
did.
her. I couldn't believe it, but I still didn't tell my dad, but I was adamant. And I think my dad passed away not knowing why. I mean, I was hysterical when they said, oh, she's gonna go over and he's going to tutor her. No, oh hell no, that's not gonna go down.
I never said anything. You know, this was in the 60s, and at that time there wasn't even a word for it. There was no discussion like there is today. And I think the most important thing you said is that you speak up, that you say something, regardless of what you think the outcome might be. Because the one thing that negative energy doesn't want is daylight. And the more people that know, the better. It may be saving somebody, but I never even told anybody because I didn't have language for it. But I did know that there was something wrong.
Yes.
I knew there was something wrong. I knew that this person was a family friend who waited until we were alone, he and I, in my house, and would do these things to me. And it went on probably about 2 years. But the interesting thing is because he never penetrated me, he didn't hurt me. In other words, you know, even as a little kid, somebody grinding on you, licking on you, kind of feel good, right? So then you get this, you think it's a game, right? Keep in mind, I'm about 5 or 6 years old. Okay, so I don't even know, but so I'm, you know, I don't know, but I know not to say anything. It's the weirdest thing. I know that it's not right. And it wasn't until I was a freshman in college that my mother says that this person actually was arrested for molesting his stepdaughter. Well, by this time, we're in the 80s, and so now there's conversation about it, there's language for it, and now I know, and I said, well, you know, he did the same thing to me, and she was like, what? She had no idea, but again, I didn't have any language for it. I'm 5 or 6, I don't even, but I could, literally, this person waited until I was home alone with him, because my mom would let him babysit. He's like 18 or 19, you know, and this was a compulsion that he had apparently, and it went on, and when you say waited till your sister came, oh yeah, he continued to do that. Oh, he continued to do that, because, you know, you guys weren't the only ones, because they have a compulsion for that. But being able to say something, you know, tell somebody, it doesn't matter what you think might happen. The best thing for you to do is to say something. That's what I would tell my younger self. Tell somebody what he's doing, and I may have been able to save some other little girl from the trauma.
Jason?
Well, a quick point on what Lori was saying was, she knew she couldn't tell her dad, but she was able to tell someone else and make it known that someone else knew. So, you know, just a message going out there in general, if, you know, like you said, get it out there. It doesn't have to be your parents, you know, yeah, your dad would have went, and your dad would have been doing a life sentence, you know, and that's what you were trying to avoid. But so letting someone else know, just bringing someone else in the circle with that knowledge. If I want to touch back on the R. Kelly thing was, I didn't watch it myself, but my girlfriend Lori did, and one of the things she took from that was his relationship with his mother was really, really unhealthy, and I think a lot of that came from that relationship. I think the way she explained it was she basically emasculated him, and that was, this behavior was the result of that. He had a very, very unhealthy relationship with his mother after the other stuff happened. And then it basically, like, the worst thing you could have after being molested is to have a mother that is completely wrong, you know, off the hook the way she treated him. So it was I guess you would say, you know, a snowball effect or a combination of factors that put him, you know, to where he was.
And Frida Ross had said a little bit earlier, R. Kelly wants to take the power out of the pussy because he was abused, like you just mentioned. For him, sex was about having ultimate control and the ability to demean and belittle because that's what happened to him.
Wow. Christian, what do you think about all of this?
Well, I don't know, I'm thinking while you guys are talking, and I had a little bit of a different experience with those things. I was molested as a kid, but I was also terrorized. So after I was having a little crush on a girl my own age, I was 8 years old, and her neighbor, who was a 17-year-old boy, molested both of us. And when he tried to go too far, he tried to sodomize me, and I couldn't do it. He beats me up, throws me out the window because I can't do it. And believe it or not, as a kid, at 8 years old, all you know is that you're not being accepted. And when you come from neglect or from a place where you've never been valued in your life, you just feel like your world's really crashing down, because in that moment, I didn't see those things as sexual things. I saw them as acceptance. And so me and this girl I had the crush on, like, she wouldn't mess with me either after, because she chose up on him. Like, okay, so I don't want to lose my contact with him. He says you're out, so really I'm all alone again. So then I go and I actually try to molest my parents, because I crawl into bed with them at night and I think, well, if this is what's going to get me the attention I need, I'll touch my parents this way. And this brought it to light, right? So it was like, okay, now this is on the table, and I was terrified, because when he kicked me out, he was like, man, if you ever tell anybody about this, I'm going to kill your ass. I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to take you out, And at 8 years old, you believed it. That's a real threat to you, So the gig's up, and they tell me, hey, you're going to be safe. Everything's going to be all right. We're going to, call the cops. Everything's going to be okay. So I trusted my mother, and I said what had happened, and I talked to the cops. Well, he went away for 2 months, and then he comes back out. Well, now I'm being terrorized. Okay, every time I leave the house, he's beating me up. He's spitting on me in front of his friends. I'm scared to death. Well, I know in that moment, there's two things I'm not going to do: is share this with my parents, or go to the cops. So you start carrying around weapons, you start doing stuff, you start idolizing things that become real negative things, and that was really the beginning to me becoming a real psychotic person, because I was terrified, and I was going to learn how to defend myself and to become a much harder person in life, So I did share it at that time, and it backfired on me, because I was still in a place of neglect. I was still in a neglectful home. I was home alone all the time. I didn't have anybody there to protect me to begin with, which made me prone to being preyed upon. And afterwards, I was also vulnerable to being terrorized afterward. So sometimes I think it's really important, like what you were saying, is that people need to be attentive to their children, and they need to be present for them so that they don't feel alone in that process. And yes, people should talk about those things. And afterwards, I had deep shame, because it was a male, and my mother was deeply religious. So like, she would condemn him for the homosexuality aspect of it. And as a kid, I didn't know what that was, but I knew that if she had known, because it was a molestation, I did it willingly. So in my mind, it's like, if they convince you to do these things, and you're doing these things willingly for acceptance, what's happening is now you're complicit. So every time she belittled him or went after him for that and verbally tried to like put him down, she was also putting me down, because she couldn't accept the fact that was a molestation. So there's a little bit of things in there that kind of contradict some of the other experiences there, but I would just say that it's really important to be present with your children and to give them that sense of safety, so that they really don't get terrorized like that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So let's see, we're going to weigh in on Mr. Kelly and the power.
It's just a sad situation. I think he was a victim, and he just started victimizing other people. And I think it's exactly what Frida said, that he puts some humiliation in it when he does it. And I think he does it with younger girls, because you can almost imagine myself, Lori, any of the women in here, you're not gonna do that to me. You're not gonna piss on me. You're not going to, no, that's not going to happen. You're not gonna tell me when I can have some water or go to the bathroom. So
I'm greedy.
So who else could he prey upon but those little 14-year-olds that saw him as something huge and saw him as a way out, because a lot of them he did promise a career. And it was evident that he did not care for any of those girls.
No.
It was evident.
I have an additional question for the panel tonight when we talk about the power of PUSSY. Noreen, I'm going to pick you first. How does the power of the P collide or coincide with the P?
Okay, so
I'm feeling like Superfly right now.
Somebody
On
help
my
me with
Sheila
her.
Frazier, I'm just saying.
Somebody help me with
The
her.
bubble bath scene, I'm just saying. The power of the pussy and the pimp game.
So, obviously, the pimp understands better than she does the power of her pussy. Clearly, right? He understands that it's available to make him some money. I don't care what we tell ourselves. If we are selling our body for money, there's something that we're missing about ourselves. There's some value that we don't have for ourselves if we believe that that's the only way or the only value that we have. I saw a video, one of my son's friends posted of a friend of his twerking, and she was awesome at twerking.
She was a good twerker.
She was good. She was a good twerker. She did it very well. The only problem I had is that young girl never showed her face. And my thing is this: if you gonna sell it, brand it, baby. Brand it.
Own it.
Own it. Right? So that at least now, from now on, anybody know that face goes with that ass right there. And when you paying for that ass, you paying for this one right here. This ain't just anybody's. So I say that to say, yes, the pimp, he understands. But a really good pimp does it with mind control. He does it with mind control. He gets a woman to believe that they're a team and that they're working together to build something for each other, which is just not true. But that pimp understands better than she does the power of her pussy. Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah, the pimp most definitely, like I said, back to the predator. A pimp can go into a room of women. He's not gonna talk to you. He's not gonna talk to any of us, but he knows who to talk to because he has smelled her out. And he has, and he knows the power of the pussy, and that's why he controls it, and that's why he has that person selling. And it is a mind thing. It is a mind thing. It's like the biggest Jedi mind trick you could ever be played on you. But it's sad because it's very emotional. Like a pimp, he's like a psychologist. Like he knows you're hurt. He knows you come from a broken home. He knows you're needy. He knows you have daddy issues. I mean, men know that about you, just a regular man.
Right.
They know.
They sure do.
Yeah, they know when you have issues. And they, and they're good at that. And that's the way we're made. That's, we are nurturers and they are predators. And that's just the nature of it. You can't change that. So just adding the pimp element into it it's a scary thing, because I lived up in the Bay Area where pimping is pimping and pimping is pimping. And I had to tell my daughter at 12, she was going to the mall in Concord. I was like, honey, you're a beautiful girl and you look like you're from the suburbs. If somebody come up to you talking that pimp shit, tell them to fuck off and go on. And you have to tell your kids that because it's real, especially at the climate that we're living in now. It's just, you can walk to the liquor store and have to traffic your ass back. I mean, it's a crazy thing. It's really, but it is mind control. It's power. And what people don't realize, it's all about power. You know what I'm saying? And so,
How do we convert? How do you convert it? How do you convert it when you're flipping the script? And so now we're talking back to the Pussy Chronicles. How does one who has been pimped in the mind game, how can they flip the script on the coochie?
I think you have to go deep within yourself. I think I found my power. You have to realize, okay, this shit I'm doing ain't right. Even being married, going to church, and being the lady that being a stay-at-home mom, you be doing some bullshit.
Can that be a form of pimpery?
What?
When you just stay-at-home mom and let's just say man and woman, and he's controlling everything. He controls the money. You're at home. He's giving you an allowance. He's telling you what to wear, how to do it, whoop-de-wop. What is
Mind
that?
control. That's
Mind control.
That's mind control.
But I feel like that you can get yourself out of that. You have to love yourself, you know, and that goes back to the trauma, and it goes back to the, you know, inappropriate relationships, the inappropriateness, you know, the bad relationship with your mom. You gotta work that shit out, because if you don't, you are gonna be a predator, and your pussy is not gonna be powerful, because you are weak. You know, and a lot of women think because they sell pussy that's powerful, but it's not.
No.
It's not.
No, it's absolutely
It's
not.
absolutely not.
And the thing of,
All
Alright, I got a question, cause something that's really popular is women becoming sex workers.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that. I want to talk about that on the Pussy Chronicles. A lot of women are camera girls, and what a camera girl is, and that's, you know, young girls. A camera girl is somebody that gets on the camera on the iPhone, and men pay her to do sexual things, and then he might end up coming over and having sex with you. And a lot of people are, a camera girl. A lot of people are into doing that, and it's.
People in college, like,
Yes.
it's not a
Yes.
thing, it's more of a necessity.
Yes.
Like, in the Bay Area specific,
Yes.
my experience, it's expensive. So if I can't make money, I have a job but I'm not making enough money. Women, in my experience that I from up there, started selling themselves
Yes.
online because that's income.
Yes.
If you send a
That's
picture of your
income.
foot and get $500,
Yes,
You can send some
and
dirty
people don't
drawers.
realize
Thank
when you send a picture of your foot, that's
Yeah.
part of a sexual act, because somebody is jacking off
On
at your toes,
On your foot.
on your
Yes.
foot.
No,
And it
I-
pays well,
but,
it pays well, it pays well. You,
For the fetishes, those
For
are
the
those
fetishes.
fetishes.
Look at
There's
those
some-
There is a website that is dedicated to women selling their dirty drawers. There are requests that come in for you to work out in the same panties 2-3 times. Maybe. I ain't heard about that, but I know men is dropping $500, $600 for some drawers just for used
Okay.
for some used underwear.
Where is this at?
Yeah.
It's everywhere.
I don't know the name of the site because I don't know. That's a lot, but I don't know the name. But I know men are dropping a lot of money for some
bag,
dirty
for the
pants,
bag.
And the panties.
for feet, panties,
panties.
picture of
Feet,
your
panties.
ear, anything they can get is fine. It don't take much.
And
It
young
don't take
girls,
much.
young girls, you
I'm in the
know,
wrong business.
the way the economy is right now, a lot of young women are sex workers in many forms and fashion. A lot of
Okay,
young,
just for clarification,
okay.
sex worker is prostitute, right?
Well, no, a sex
No.
worker is you doing something that is sexualized, like when somebody puts out an ad and go, I want a picture of your feet, please let me take a picture of your feet.
Okay.
He loads that up on a website, and a whole bunch of people are paying him for your feet, and they're jacking off. So that makes you a sex worker.
So they get sexual gratification
yes.
for whatever.
So it's not just so much
It's not the
penetration.
sex act of
Yeah.
sex.
There's
No,
Yeah.
it could be your feet.
And
It
that's-
could be-
Somebody have an ear fetish.
Yes.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
Or
ear.
a toe fetish,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's the
Okay.
thing with media too, is it's not more, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not more of a personal connection with
Yes.
people. It's all online.
Yes.
It's all through a phone. You feel me? I can be
Yes.
17 years old, you're not gonna know my age, but you just see a
Yes.
picture of my feet, you're gonna give me $500 right now. I can give
Yes.
that to my mom to pay rent. I can give that to anything, but it's just,
He's a sex worker
She's a
when he does that.
And the tragedy of all of that is that, again, so much emphasis has been put on that literally this is the only way I see for me to actually make money and for me to actually pay for my college
Yes.
and those things that you're talking about, Dante. It is a tragedy that we have been reduced to such smallness.
Objectified, just
Yes,
been reduced
objectified
down.
and
To just a pussy. That's
to
where you
just
gotta
that.
claim it back.
That's right. And the
'Cause-
only way to do that is what you said, which is what this book is about identifying yourself. You have to find out who you are and then finding your worth and understanding that you're more than just what somebody wants you to be, whether that's a pussy or whatever, or otherwise. You're more than those things, and that I had to start treating myself like a business. And I don't mean that I'm out here selling pussy. What I mean is, but it's gonna cost you though. It is gonna cost you.
Okay.
No, it is gonna cost you. Ain't nothing free over here. This is top shelf liquor, and if you only got champagne money, carry your ass on down there. You only get champagne time and investment. So that means top shelf liquor. So what that means is I'm the one that they have behind the thing that they keep locked up. You see
Up
what I'm
in the
saying?
glass.
Up in the glass. See, you don't, that shit don't go on sale.
You in the black and blue label.
I'm the black and blue label. It
Okay.
don't go on sale.
So you in like the boom boom
That
room.
listen, they be lucky tonight they get me in the boom boom room. That's the
Okay.
bottom line, because what I realized is I was giving away my time, my talents, my energy, my conversation. Sometimes resources that I had access to, like somebody might be looking for something. Oh, I know JackieRay, right? I might introduce them to you. I was giving all that shit away for free. And not getting what I needed out of it. Oh, hold up, swallow up. We Houston, we got us a problem. Something ain't right here. And I had to realize that no, it costs you to have anything worth having is worth working for. And if you find me valuable, then you will, and my time, then you, and my company, then you will invest. And what I also found out is that because I never made men invest anything, I got nothing.
You talked about that bank account, it's a financial bank.
Yeah, the Bank of Noreen. You got to invest, you got to make some deposits for you can get some withdrawals up in this camp up in here. Yes, indeed. And I ain't talking about your PP neither. You got to deposit more than the penis. You got to deposit more than the penis to get something over here but I had to learn that though. I had to find me first. I had to find
That
me.
401k, Jason, please, somebody help.
At least once a week, I find myself as a member of the male species, just, come on, guys, knock it off. Just, come on, guys, you're making the rest of us look really bad, you know? Gee, come on, guys, yeah, clean it up a little bit. At
Get
least
it
once a
together.
week, I'm just, as a member of the male species, come on, guys, clean it up a
We can do
little
better.
bit. We could do so much better. Yeah.
And you speaking on it though? That's enough.
That's right. And it's appreciated too. It's appreciated
Tonight,
too.
Christian, you having a good one? We're gonna get ready to be wrapping it up in a little while, guys. So, Christian, come on through and let us know.
You know, it's been a good night of a conversation about the most blessed thing that we got on this earth that we got around here, you know. I wish we would have talked a little more about how to treat it right, you know, like, you know,
Part two,
we could
part
talk
two,
to it,
part
you know,
two.
part two, all right, because we were gonna have
Yes.
we're gonna talk to it, we need to, you know, get a little
He
rub
said
down.
talk to it.
Oh yeah, you gotta
Yeah,
get, you know,
gotta
pet
love
names and, you know, little
Yes.
thing, you know, it's, you know, it has feelings too, you know, you can't just be ignoring it, just lying to it, just not paying attention. Grow up, you know.
All the men need to have that kind of enthusiasm.
Yes.
All the men need to have that kind of enthusiasm. It's appreciated.
We talked to pretty fresh at the crib, fresh home. Congratulations,
Yes.
Christian.
Congratulations.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Governor
Y'all
finally
already
did something good.
know how I get about
Governor
that.
did something good.
All right, I love everybody for tuning in tonight on the Poetry of Justice show with JackieRay Phillips on Yikes Radio. Now next week, guys, we're going to be talking about sacrifice. Sacrifice. How far will you go for the next human being? So anyway, guys, we're going to have a really, really good time. I really appreciate you guys for coming out tonight and tuning in. And of course, thank you to Miss Lisa Holloway. I've got Aaliyah, Jason Clark, Noreen, Christian, Lori G, Shelly C, Whitley, and of course Dante.
Really quickly, let them know that we're going to have a really in-depth show
Yes.
coming up with Christian as soon
Christian
as
will
we
be
can schedule
coming
it.
back soon. We're going to be talking about, Christian will be working on a redemption series.
All right.
It's going to be an awesome soft show. Look at it because he's amazing.
Yes.
He fits into the family here. So we'll be, uh-oh guys, I got to get ready to go. Thank you so much for tuning into the Poetry of Justice show with JackieRay Phillips on Yikes Radio. Yikes!